I've heard of the Severus Snape cult. I haven't seen anything on it. Oh, hold on, just 1 second. I will be right back. Alright, I'm back. So which one? Is it the Harry Potter cults? Or is it the Snape is my husband? So I understand the gist of it is there's a group of people that believe Severus Snape is their legitimate husband, but on like a different wavelength. Like they're in a different dimension. I'm guessing this is the one we want. I do not know the Muse Man. Thanks for 2 gift subs, always here.
From the publication of the first book in 1997 to the current year, Harry Potter is one of the most popular franchises of all time and has spawned numerous spin-offs, merchandise, and fan fictions. The fandom is absolutely enormous, and with so many people being invested in it, there were bound to be some fans who took their love for the series, and for a certain character, to the extreme. In this video, we'll explore Snapeism, the religion based on the Harry Potter character Severus Snape, as well as the women who called themselves the Snapewives.
It sounds like a cool
I know
cult.
that most people already know the major plot points of the series, but I'd like to begin by briefly discussing the character of Severus Snape in the context of the fandom. Snape is one of the most contentious characters in the series, and this controversy was at its peak in the early 2000s, when there were gaps in time between the publication of each book and many fans were awaiting the next. In this period, speculation about all of the characters was rampant. This was especially relevant to Snape after the publication of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince,
Yeah,
where many were left wondering what side he was truly on.
Never read it, but I watched the movie.
In a live journal post from 2004, a user summarizes some of the varying opinions on Snape that fans held at the time. He is a greasy git, the ugly, big-nosed, sallow-skinned, crooked-teethed bane of Hogwarts students for over a decade, playing favorites to Slytherins and despising Gryffindors. He is an anti-hero, misunderstood, disliked, even hated as he walks the path of redemption for mistakes made in a youth now long past.
So when did they
start a mark of shame and still bound to an evil that endangers him every minute of every day as he desperately tries to help the forces of light which revile him.
Tier 1 always here?
He is genius, a master of potions the likes of which hasn't been seen in many years, able to concoct brews of which very few can even dream, using his skill grudgingly to aid ungrateful youngsters and even the people who made his childhood a living hell. Fans seem to either love him or hate him with an almost insane devotion, producing hundreds of thousands of words of fiction and countless works of art depicting his unmistakable visage, arguing interpretations of each and every word he utters in canon, analyzing every glance, every gesture, every snark and sneer. Whether you love him or hate him, there is pretty much a universal truth surrounding him. No one is neutral about Severus Snape. Perhaps the most controversial aspect of this character is his death. The last Harry Potter book was released in 2007, and in this book, Snape is killed by Voldemort in an extremely emotional scene. As he lays dying, he releases his memories to Harry, which show that he had been on the side of good all along. While some fans applauded the end of the series, others were left disappointed, particularly with the treatment of Snape's character. Many felt that he did not get the redemption he deserved, or that he should have been given some kind of reward for his loyalty in the face of danger. In the midst of these discussions and arguments about Snape's arc, many fans became extremely attached to him, and they showed their dedication through art, fanfictions, and fan sites. This is completely normal for any large fandom. However, some fans latched onto Snape in an extremely obsessive manner, and they took their attachment to the character beyond fanfictions and shipping wars.
This is what I want to see.
Let's dive into the history of the Snapeists, otherwise known as the Snapewives. To give a brief summary of Snapeism, it's a religion based around a group of Snape fans who believe that he's not simply a fictional character created by J.K. Rowling, but rather a supernatural being who exists in another dimension. Snapewives believe that they're in a polygamous marriage with Severus Snape on an astral plane, and they channel him for guidance and support in their lives. The religion was officially given the title Snapeism in 2008. Unfortunately, a good amount of content has been purged from the internet, but I've done my best to find archives or screenshots of original posts. I'll generally be referencing the quotes and perspectives of 3 of the most well-known Snapewives, Conchita, Rose, and Tanya. So now let's delve deeper into the religious beliefs of Snapeism.
I like the graphic there, that was cool.
That are in line with Christian beliefs. Within Snapeism, Snape himself is comparable to the Christian God. He is divine, all-powerful, and omniscient. Rose explains his virtues as being bewitching, masterful, ensnaring, mysterious, alluring, mesmerizing, and enigmatic. Snapists believe that while it's impossible to concretely prove the existence of spiritual figures, that doesn't make Snape any less real or holy.
Aqua.
Their
And happy
connection with
birthday,
Snape is
Zay.
through means such as phantom smells, tastes, sounds, feelings. Some Snapewives also believe that they felt Snape's touch on their skin in real life. When describing his abilities, Snapists explain that his wisdom
why
and
would
power
Snape
has
wanna,
opened their
like,
minds,
touch
advised them, and kept them sane in times of trouble.
Like, why would he reach
They
through
also claim
dimensions
that
for
he
that?
used his power to contact or influence them, such as advising Tanya on how to fold a blanket and Rose seeing a man who looked like Snape while at a train station. His power was supposedly great enough that he was able to give Tanya's father-in-law a heart attack, which pleased her.
Whoa!
Similarly to Christianity, blasphemy against Snape is taken very seriously by Snapists. When the Tonner brand introduced a new Snape doll, Rose was outraged to see online comments from other fans saying they wanted to check under his clothes to see if he has knickers on, and take pics of his naked rump. In response to this heathenish behavior, she said, "I wouldn't ever dare disrespect Master in such a humiliating manner." Tensions were raised between the Snapewives on occasion, such as when Conchita claimed that sexual fanfiction about themselves and Snape should be kept private and that sharing it is disrespectful, but Rose and Tanya believed that writing erotic self-insert fanfiction would bring them closer to him. Most of their fanfictions have been purged from the internet, but a few choice excerpts still exist. Another similarity between Christianity and Snapeism is the intolerance towards homosexuality. Snape himself apparently said that he will not tolerate the so-called slash movement, referring to non-canonical gay pairings. As such, the Snapewives were staunchly against any art or writing that depicted Snape in a male-on-male relationship. The Snapewives themselves have also made the comparison to Christianity on several occasions, saying that Snape is as real as the Christian God, and that if Christians aren't delusional, then Snapewives aren't either. Rose mentioned that she was raised Christian, but she felt that it was restrictive, as she would have to give up her beliefs in supernatural entities like vampires. Finding Snape is apparently what made her find herself.
You can believe in vampires and still be Christian?
The comparison between Snapeism and Christianity
I've never heard a pastor say vampires
given
are
that some Christians believe
not
that
good.
Harry Potter is satanic.
By the way, Bible never says vampires aren't real.
Worship.
And while I'm on the subject, let me say something about Harry Potter. Warlocks are enemies of God.
True.
And I don't care what kind of hero they are. They're an enemy of God. And had it been in the Old Testament, Harry Potter would have been put to death.
God damn right. Excuse me.
The conception of Snape as an omniscient
You're
God,
right.
The Snapeists believe that the Harry Potter books were written by J.K. Rowling in a similar manner to that of the Christian Bible. They believe that she was inspired by the divine Snape and channeled his spirit to pen the books, rather than using her imagination to create his character. Because she's only human, the common belief between Snapewives was that Rowling made mistakes regarding her portrayal of him in his character arc. As such, she's viewed as a flawed scribe by most of the Snapeists. They acknowledge the core plot points of the series, such as Snape being instrumental in Voldemort's downfall, as being true. However, they felt as if much of her commentary throughout the series is biased, and they question how well she actually knew Snape. For example, Rose claimed that Snape enjoyed
sounds like every
flowers,
fandom
but
ever.
Rowling failed to acknowledge that in the narrative.
No, I understand it better than the writers.
In short, the Snapewives believe that the portrayal of Snape as written by J.K. Rowling is fictional, and that he's separate from their master, who's a real divine entity on another astral plane. Another issue that the Snapewives had with Rowling was that she referred to him as Snape when interviewed. The Snapeists generally referred to him as either Master, My Lord, or Severus, although use of Master has been contended by some because it apparently reminds him of Hogwarts. Regarding Rowling, Conchita wrote, "Please read everywhere she states Snape as Severus Snape. I really dislike the way she talks of him. The man has a name for Merlin's sake." Snapeism is also characterized by intense emotional feelings towards Snape. When describing her passion towards him, Conchita wrote that she loves him more than anyone else and would die for him without hesitation, because her life without Snape is cruel and pointless.
I wonder if she still feels that way.
By Tanya, who agreed that life without Snape is nothing. She explained this by saying, "I've never experienced anything this intense before now. There are times when I feel that my soul is being torn asunder with this fierce desire. Obsession is a mild word for what I feel for Severus Snape."
Jesus Christ.
Tanya also mentioned that her lust for Snape left her in tears some nights, saying, "Have you ever wanted something so badly that you ached from within your very soul for it? That it gnaws at your heart and very being? At times it brings tears to my eyes, and I find myself trembling from this need." This emotional connection to Snape became so intense that he
Need
became not
for the
only their
Snape
god, but their
seed.
husband. The marriage was polygamous, as several Snapewives were married to Snape at once. They
Thanks to the gift
considered their
sublog,
marriage to him to be
Nerissa
completely
Ramsey.
legitimate and serious. However, they were adamant that they did not have a relationship with one another. At first, the marriage between the Snapewives and Snape was conceptualized as involving Lily. However, their opinions on her soon changed as they began thinking that Snape did not forgive Lily for choosing James over him, and that Lily would never be good enough for him.
Snape did get
Snape
cucked.
agreed with this and told them that they are all he needs and not to dwell on the past. The initial relationship involving Lily can be seen in Rose's wedding vows, which say, "Our beloved Severus, we, Lily Evans and Rose, pledge these sacred vows." In Conchita's vows to Snape, she promises that she will not love another man. She refused any potential boyfriends or spouses, saying, "I'm Severus's woman, so I will not be with other men.
I'm sure there were
Being with
hundreds of
Severus
men
is
trying
satisfying
to
enough.
fuck
Why would I ever
Snape's
need another
wife.
man?"
It was a-
Monogamy to Snape wasn't necessary, however, as both Rose and Tanya had husbands. They claimed that Snape supported his wives' marriages to another man.
Oh wait, they
but
both
that
has
he was
husbands?
territorial and as such limited them to only being physically intimate with one other partner.
God, he's even getting cucked in this
was beneficial
dimension.
to the Snapewives, as they claimed that Snape could use their husbands' bodies as a vessel to have sex with them.
Oh.
Describing this,
Nice.
Rose said, "Master would take over for my hubby and have fun. Basically, my hubby would do things in ways that only Master can and could." Rose also claimed that her husband failed to give her the attention and satisfaction that she
Hit her with
craved,
the Expelliarmus.
saying, "I can be sitting next to him either in a hot nightie or nothing at all and he barely notices me. No wonder I am more and more fleeing into my world with Master." She also engaged in sexual experiences with Snape while at work. One of Rose's
Fuck
fantasies
Snape at
included
work?
Snape killing her with a potion post-coitus, which allowed her to travel to his astral plane with him and join their souls together at long last. She also wrote fanfiction about her fantasies where she would spontaneously burst into flames as she danced with Snape. Unfortunately, not all of the Snapewives experienced the same sexual satisfaction.
Yeah,
Tanya's
nothing
husband George
sexually
personally
satisfying
offended
like
Snape by
bursting
saying
into
that he did not
flames.
exist. As punishment, she said that Snape made her husband appear to not exist at his job,
As a tier
and Tanya
1,
refused
Joe
to allow him to
Papel,
be part of her
Nerissa,
sex life with
John
Snape,
Cole, Knight
which
Rider
included
Mo, and
acts
Prime
such as erotic
Barlax.
dancing that mimics the thrashing of one's body in the midst of an orgasm. At one point, he woke up while she was dancing erotically for Snape, and she would not continue until he left the house. George reportedly could not wait until Snape was gone from Tanya's life forever. Conchita had conflicting feelings on the polygamous marriage between Snape's sister wives. When discussing her upcoming wedding, she said, "I know there are also other wives of Snape. I'm not saying I'm the only one, but that is okay."
Sub bear.
However, after fighting with other Snape wives, she wrote a long list of things she believes Snape would not do, which includes engage in polygamy, allow his woman to have another man,
That's what
marry
I'm
more
saying.
than one woman, and being sexually
for the 25 gift
promiscuous.
subs, Hernandez.
This fight
Thank
further
you, man.
distanced her
Goddamn.
from Rose and Tanya.
I appreciate it.
The issue of monogamy to Snape was also a source
Thank
of
you,
trouble
Hernandez.
between Rose and Tanya. Rose was becoming increasingly interested in the actor Mark Harmon, who played Agent Gibbs in NCIS. She enjoyed
Oh,
photoshopping
no.
him and Snape into scenes together.
Oh
Tanya
no!
believed that this was wrong, as she was not being faithful to Snape. This was the cause of a big fight between the two, which we'll come back to later.
Yeah,
In addition to an emotional connection,
Snape cannot
has
stop
also
getting
claimed that they have a
cucked.
spiritual connection with Snape and can channel
Thank you,
him
the
with
resub
varying
doll,
degrees
and
of
the 20 gift
success.
subs. Danger. Thank you,
Conchita said
Danger.
that she struggled to channel
And 2
Snape,
gift subs
and
always
she did
here.
not have much contact
Thank you,
with him
man.
outside of apparently once catching him reading fan mail from other Snapewives.
Okay, hold on. Just want to take a second here. Out of the millions of informative videos, you watch this IQ lowering dog water. You're so fucking cringe. Bro, you're spending your time on Twitch. You're also lowering your IQ. Jesus Christ. Just because you visit a couple political subreddits or something doesn't make you some kind of superior intellectual or something. I love learning about this shit. But yeah, man, you're right. I'm sure my intelligence is not even in the same astral plane as yours. Yeah. I'm sorry to have wasted your time here, Oldsroy. I feel bad now. Your time is so goddamn valuable too. You should really just be doing something more productive, like learning about, like, I don't know, covalent bonds or whatever you're learning about right now in school.
And organizing a birthday party for him. She once tried using her blood on a poster of Snape to channel him, but this only resulted in her offending the other Snapewives. Rose claimed to have slightly more success with channeling Snape, but despite her being able to hear her master's voice clearly,
Appreciate it, man. Thank
she
you for the
said that her
generosity.
issues with channeling were caused by being brainwashed by the Christian church. Her main way of channeling Snape was through her tattoo, where she apparently felt a painful sensation
So
when
it's
he
like a
touched her
portal.
arm. Tanya was considered to be the
Snape.
most successful at channeling Snape, and she was adamant that it was not a roleplay. In a self-insert fanfiction, she wrote that Snape said that she was his vessel and that he would communicate with his wives through her. Her ability to channel Snape made her somewhat of a Snapeist ringleader, because she was apparently able to communicate his divine will to others, such as stating that he would not tolerate annoying, giggling fangirls. She also claimed to have psychic powers, as she had visions of things that would be in the next book or movie.
Obviously she was a psychic. How the fuck is she gonna have sex with Snape if she's not?
And Snape sitting in his office at Hogwarts. She also claimed to channel Snape to have sexual roleplay with other Snapeists. Although Snapeism forbade homosexuality, some people suggest that there may have been some degree of attraction or sexual experimentation between the wives under the guise of channeling Snape. During a fight between the Snapewives that will be looked into more later, Rose and Tanya criticized Conchita by saying that she was unable to channel Snape because her heart wasn't pure and she wasn't submissive enough to him. Fighting back,
but isn't
Conchita
Rose
said
also
that Tanya
fucking the
and Rose lied
NCIS
about
guy?
channeling Snape and made a post warning about them, saying, "If Severus Snape wants to speak to you, he will do that himself. Believe me, no one could ever impersonate him other than the real man/spirit. Do not believe medium/channelers that say they knew him for years and spread his word.
Thanks for the resub.
Perhaps
Scrap.
one day
Hey,
they
good to
used
see you,
to.
Shrapnel. Thank
But
you,
sometimes we can all catch something from the other side, but most they tell you
man.
are
Thanks
lies
to
and
Tom
nonsense.
and Carpaccio and Dude.
Do not believe it, and please do not let it affect you. It is damaging."
No, I
While
don't
the
think
wives
anyone's gonna
fought
get
like this
murdered
on
here or
several
anything. I think they're just gonna
occasions, they
all
never
have sex
posted
with
about a
Snape.
divorce. So now that I've laid out a basic understanding of Snapeism and the beliefs and practices of the Snapewives, I'd like to discuss the public reception.
The fandom wank
Snapewives
saga?
were relatively obscure until Fandom Wank discovered their posts.
Oh, it's the
Fandom
name
Wank
of
is a
it.
community dedicated to laughing at the drama that internet fans created, which is referred to as wank. In 2006, the user Narcissum posted a detailed chronicling of Conchita's online worship of Snapeism. It begins with her vows to Snape, a letter to him regarding how she felt her devotion was slipping, and a photo of her shrine to him, which was sadly not archived.
Oh,
According
what
to
the
one
fuck?
commenter, it was apparently disappointing because it wasn't as crazy as they'd anticipated. Narcissum goes on to mention the forum that Conchita created to share her faith with others, where Snape was a member and replied to some of the posts. Discussions revolved around topics like Snape's underwear, his pitiful childhood, Alan Rickman's hotness, James Potter's cruelty, Evanescence lyrics, their self-insert
Evanescence
fanfics,
lyrics?
and most
Alright.
importantly,
My
Snape's
Immortal?
messages for them in their dreams.
Okay.
This post also includes an excerpt from a discussion between Conchita and Tanya where Tanya unsuccessfully tried to channel Snape for her. It goes on to document a fight between Tanya and Conchita that was sparked by Tanya posting an analysis of Snape's faults on her live journal page.
Snape's his
This
faults?
enraged Conchita, who wrote a long post discrediting Tanya's post as rubbish and lies.
Yeah, that's a bunch of
This did not
garbage.
deter Tanya, who responded by making another post about Snape's imperfections and weaknesses. In response, Conchita declared war on her. This fight led to Conchita writing 2 letters to Snape. The first was on September 19, 2006, and read, "Dearest Severus, this might be my last letter to you. Not because I stopped loving you.
God.
I can't do that, ever. Not because I am too
Conchita,
weak
don't
or
do
because
that.
I found someone. You are still my light. There will never be anyone else but you. And right now I'm stronger than ever, dealing with so much shit my head explodes. This might be the last one.
No!
Because I have to let you go for you and for me.
No!
Try to stop me if you do care. I dare you, Severus Snape. Stop me from letting go and tell me you notice me. Loving you, I will never stop. I just have to move on. I am
Oh my
sure
God.
you see what I mean. That is,
Conchita!
if you ever notice what I go through lately. I need my strength to fight for my kids. No more asking,
Oh, she had kids
waiting,
this
and
whole
pleading.
time?
No more rituals at all. If you want me, stop me. If you don't, let me go. Or tell me you hate me. That makes it easier. Please understand, I miss you so much that it takes away all my energy.
She like mails
and
it to the
fighting
North
spirit.
Pole like a letter for
I only
Santa.
want to be with you while I should be looking after my kids. Set my mind free or be there for me. I dare and beg you. I am sorry, Severus. Apparently you were right all along. I am not the one, and I will never be worthy to be. Just forget about me.
Oh man.
Always yours. That will never change. Never.
Damn.
Be well, my dearest. Please forgive me my weaknesses." At the mention of her
Fuck,
having
what the
kids while still
fuck?
being deeply obsessed with Snape, many commenters expressed concerns and the desire to report her to Child Protective Services.
Oh!
Conchita followed this with another letter on September 20th.
Snape, I
where she
lost the
confirms
kids.
that she will move on from him for good. In this letter, she writes, "One day later, indeed, that was my last letter.
Thanks, the resub.
You already know why I
Italy,
say
the 2
this.
subs
I
always
wish you
here.
well with
Thank
the
you, man.
woman/women of your choice, Severus. Now I know it was
Thanks
never
to the
me.
Bits Gaming Bear.
If you ever
and
want to know where I
man.
am, look for me in the shadows. I apologize for all the grief I have caused. I did not mean to. I was selfish, uncontrolled, and stupid. I will move on with you in my heart. That will never change. No one can make me lose that too, not even you, Severus. Be well and happy. I will always love you.
I
While
wonder
she
if she
was
still
done
feels that
contacting
way.
him through letters, Conchita continued discussion of Snape on the forums. Less than a month later, on October 14th, 2006, she and Tanya reconciled.
Oh, that's nice.
Narcissism continues adding a few more updates, including that Rose showed up to defend her sister wives. The very last update is Snape's proclamation that none of the Snapeists are allowed to post on Fandom Wank. There were over 5,000 comments on this post, with the majority either mocking the Snapewives or expressing concern over their beliefs. But rather than back down to the barrage of commenters, the Snapewives tended to defend themselves against the criticism. In response to Conchita's dismay at the negative attention they received, Tanya commented, "It isn't forbidden to dream and love, and just because those morons don't know how to, doesn't mean we don't.
True.
I shall carry on into hell with them. I decided I will not make my stuff private, but I won't return to the page on risk of having myself chewed out by him. I will not let them change me. I tell you, it was hard for me not to run straight back over there and fight them, but Severus jumped my case and said the imbeciles weren't worth the effort or time.
It sounds like
and
something
as
Severus
always,
would say.
He is right." They also responded directly to their detractors. For example, in response to a negative comment, Rose replied, "The way I see things is that we tend to limit ourselves, our beliefs, our understanding, our willingness. Due to what? Society? Because people tend to be afraid of what they don't understand? Oh well, your all's loss, my gain.
True.
Does that make me sick?
Nope.
No more so than others. However, I do tend to live a real life with my hubby, my cats, my plants, my friends, my master. I stand where I stand, and ever so proudly."
Amen.
In response to an anonymous commenter who remarked that the Snapewives are delusional for obsessing over a fictional character when they themselves obsess over a hockey player, Tanya replied, "You obsess over a hockey player,
That's fucking huge cry.
Well,
Holy
that
shit.
could be judged to be just as bad as what we do, except we don't have to worry about famous personalities getting all upset."
True.
Tanya also apparently made several comments on the original post on Fandom Wank, presumably before Snape forbade his wives from posting. In the first, she said that she stood by everything on her website and encouraged others who did not agree with Snapeism to stay off her page. She also encouraged users to get a life and finished off the message by assuring them that Snape is in fact real. In the next comment, Tanya claimed that the post had not gotten to her and that the criticism on Fandom Wank was making her laugh. Although they had just made up, the era of peace between the Snapewives did not last for long. A follow-up post by Cato Potato in November of that same year documents yet another fight. This time, the argument is Conchita versus Rose and Tanya.
Man, what the fuck? I thought they were all friends. Why is this happening? How is there still 8 more minutes? What does this end with?
We can still piece together the final straw for the original Snapewives, which is said to be due to a major fight between Tanya and Rose.
Oh my
Tanya
god.
slammed Rose on LiveJournal. Rose implied that the fight was due to her increasing interest in Agent Gibbs. After all, you can't worship Snape and another god. That's just wrong. Rose justified her feelings by saying that while she did have another interest, he reminded her a lot of Snape. In one post, she explains, "I do love Severus Snape. I love him with all my heart, and I always will. No one can take him away from me, but even I have to say that I found someone who's pretty much like him, and my passion, obsession, need is being met there."
You sly
Rose blames
dog.
her wandering eye on Rowling not providing enough Snape merchandise for her. In 2010, Tanya's husband eventually forced her to go to Rose's house and apologize. She also asked Rose to give her her Snape posters back because she thought Rose no longer worshipped him as her master. This was apparently not the case.
Told her to do this?
Later writing, "LOL, LOL, not even when hell freezes over. I love him, always will. Period, end of story. When Snape captured my heart in 2000, that was that." Although she proclaimed her eternal love for Snape, the Snapeist-related content began to die down on Rose's blog. At this point, she made a comment to a friend that said she used to be into Harry Potter, implying that she may no longer be a Snapeist. Rose's blog was deleted in 2011, and there are no further updates on her or any of the other original Snapewives. We may never know if they're still loyal to Snape or if they found a new husband on an astral plane. With all this being said, I'd love to hear what you guys think regarding the legitimacy of Snapeism as a religious belief, or your thoughts on the Snapewives in general.
I think it's a very legitimate belief, if you ask me. I mean, that's just what I think. That was a pretty interesting fucking story. It kind of reminded me of the Final Fantasy house a little bit, where people astral projected that they were Final Fantasy characters, except this one was a lot more like 50 Shades of Grey fueled.